Our conversation for the next 1 hour is going to be looking at healthcare. Healthcare in the Republic of Kenya, healthcare in East Africa. The positive shifts in East Africa's healthcare landscape. We are joined by Amogh Wadwalkar. He is an exhibition manager with Informa Markets. Amogh, good morning.
Good morning, Eric.
Good to have you here. We call that the hot seat of the situation. How does it feel?
It feels wonderful, like to be present over here and be part of this particular session over here to discuss further about the healthcare exhibition that we would be doing in Kenya.
Karibu sana. We'll get into that conversation shortly, but first listen to CT. He will give you the day's proverb. Every week, CT goes to one African country, mines proverbs from that country, and then he brings one proverb a day. And the job of the person in the hot seat is to listen to the proverb and give us the interpretation. Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay, Citi, where are we this week?
We are in the Union of the Comoros. Mm-hmm. I was informed that there's a proverb I'd mentioned earlier and that I've repeated a proverb. So, having repeated that proverb, why don't I do right by our listeners so that I can actually give them an alternative proverb? How does that sound? All right. If you steal while carrying your son on your back, you will teach him to steal.
If you steal while carrying your son on your back, you will teach him to steal.
Yes.
Amogh, how would you interpret this proverb?
I would like to keep it simple. I'll say it's better to do the right thing, irrespective of whether you are doing it in isolation or whether you are doing it in front of someone else. Because whatever actions you do is basically you're kind of giving an exposure and like sending out the message to be it your family members, be it your community. So it's better to do the right thing rather than promoting wrongdoings.
That's very
it's a good interpretation. It's a very good interpretation.
Very well said. Asante sana. Good one. Now introduce us to the company that you work for, Informa Markets.
Yes, so Informa Markets is a UK-based public limited company. It has offices globally. I come from the Informa Dubai office. Informa is known to do B2B exhibitions across the globe. And in fact, I represent the healthcare portfolio of Informa Markets. So we do healthcare exhibitions in Africa. In Africa, if I have to tell you about it, it's about in Kenya, in Nigeria, South Africa, Egypt, as well as the rest of the world, right from Asia to the US. So yeah, our forte is B2B exhibitions wherein we connect buyers and sellers together.
Buyers and sellers of what?
So if I have to tell you buyers and sellers with the context to the healthcare sector, let's say if you're going to a hospital to get some kind of a treatment. So the medical devices that you will be seeing across in a hospital, be it as big as like a CT scanner or as small as like a disposable, like a syringe or something, whatever you see, the manufacturers of those particular products, my team and I, we basically interact with those manufacturers, tell them that, okay, this is what the situation is for a particular region, or like in particular Kenya, we need manufacturers to have these particular products which can be sold or bought by the hospital owners, the hospital, the government sector, and so for these state-run hospitals. So they basically participate in the exhibitions and they interact with the sellers, the buyers, who would be basically a hospital CEOs, the chief medical directors, or the laboratory heads. So whatever you see in an hospital, right from the flooring, the lights, the equipment, those are the sellers who are the manufacturers, and the buyers would be someone who procure them to use it in their hospitals on a day-to-day basis.
Do you prescribe, or do the buyers essentially come and say what they're looking for? Or would you say, because of course, with health, you've got levels of facilities, from 1 to 6. I'm using Kenya as an example. So do you prescribe what a particular buyer could use, or do they come and pick for themselves?
My job over here, I wouldn't say like I prescribe as such. My role is to basically ensure that whatever the shortfall is, or the need, or the requirement is for the healthcare sector of Kenya, I'm reaching out to the global markets, putting a case in front of them, telling them that, okay, these are the requirements for the Kenyan healthcare sector. Would you be interested in supplying the products to develop the healthcare sector in Kenya. And if they are interested, they join us on board for the exhibition, wherein over a period of 3 days, they showcase their products and talk about these products to the hospital, like to the doctors. So basically, they have the technical knowledge, they have the understanding what needs to be procured or how it can be implemented into day-to-day life. So those particular products have been a decision is taken by the hospital healthcare professionals.
Looking at the Kenyan market, what are the requirements for the Kenyan market from what you see?
So particularly if I have to tell you about, it's currently, I'll talk about the broader aspect. It's about your fostering investment and sustainability. So financing still remains a major hurdle in achieving universal health coverage in East Africa. So Medic East Africa will provide a platform for dialogue between policymakers, the investors, you talk about the healthcare providers on strategies to increase funding for healthcare infrastructure, as well as the equipment and the personnel. Because if I have to tell you the focus, it still remains on attracting sustainable investments that can support long-term improvements in the region's healthcare systems. So this is just one of it. If I have to add on to it, there would be additional aspects like leveraging the digital technologies, or you can talk about the bridging the gap in healthcare workforces as a whole. So these are multiple challenges, but these are just that I would like to mention.
If you look at the region, the bigger players combined in the region, the bigger player in the healthcare space is the government.
Yes.
All right. Now, the government takes a long time to make a decision on equipment, the direction to take, because they have to think, if we are going this direction with this equipment, you have to think about all our health facilities. If you're going this direction about lab equipment, it's thinking across all our facilities. That becomes a very difficult, difficult, but a tedious process of basically just convincing them. How do you go about that? Of showing them that this is a good piece of equipment to put in your facilities, and then they make a decision before the equipment becomes obsolete.
Okay, so I would like to step back a bit over here and would like to mention the process. It's not about like just going and deciding what needs to be implemented. It's understanding the overall picture. So like, for instance, like innovation is still like one central theme of the Medic East Africa exhibition that we would be running in the month of September over here. So right now, Medic East Africa, it still goes beyond just pressing these advancements. It fosters an environment where attendees can connect with the innovators and representatives who can help implement these solutions within the healthcare system. So in addition to that, what I would say is like how we are doing that, the format is basically, it's not just an exhibition. We have open discussions, we have conferences taking place, which would be addressing, let's say, only the laboratory needs of the healthcare community, or if not the laboratory, then only the healthcare needs of the community. So for instance, I will be running 3 different conferences for the healthcare sector. Like that would be talking about the Healthcare Leadership Conference, the Primary Healthcare Conference, and the Healthcare Financing Conference. Similarly, if I have to talk about the laboratory part of it, then there would be 3 dedicated laboratory conferences on clinical microbiology, as well as laboratory management and molecular diagnostics and genomics. So the format of these conferences is that the global leaders, they come down, they do the case study presentations, and it's a platform wherein these healthcare professionals can directly interact and ask them questions as to like, okay, this is the situation that I'm facing in my hospital, how can we deal with it? So it's like an open debate, you can say, wherein people get to interact and talk to the leaders or those who have been in the industry for years and have an expertise on that particular subject matter.
Becomes easier for those in the private sector. Because see, a private sector, if you are a director in a private health facility, you just go back, look at it with your management, take it to your board and say, we would like to move in this direction. It'll make sense for us. We'll get more patients. We'll be able to be more efficient and all that. And they can see the business sense. How so for the government officials who comes there? So let's even say the Director General of Health attends an expo like this, attends these conversations and goes back, and they have to convince the people below them and even the people above them, the principal secretary, the cabinet secretary, that we have opportunities here.
Okay, so here I'll say like partnerships is still plays a major role. You talk about the private or you talk about the government bodies, because partnership and collaboration are key to any region's development. In fact, Medic East Africa, it still facilitates connections between various stakeholders, including the government, ministries, as well as the professional associations and the private hospitals. So the Kenyan government is actively supporting Medic East Africa because it recognizes the potential to contribute in achieving the UN healthcare objectives by 2030. So this partnership between the event organizers and the Kenyan Ministry of Health underscores the government commitment to improve the healthcare access and quality for its citizens. So I'll say Medic East Africa serves again as a springboard for the Kenya's efforts to establish itself as a leader in healthcare innovation within this particular region.
Okay. You organize events.
Yes.
You organize exhibitions.
Yes.
Case in point, Kenya. How many exhibitors do you expect to have at this event? And what is the diversity of these exhibitors?
So currently for the 2024 show, we are expecting more than 200 exhibitors who will be participating from 30 different countries globally. And in addition to that, if I have to talk about the government pavilions, the country pavilions that I be getting on board, then this year Kenya will be witnessing exhibitors from Egypt, South Africa, Brazil, as well as Germany, wherein the nature of the business of these exhibitors will be right from something like a disposable or medical devices, medical technologies, IT in healthcare to laboratory solutions. So it's a mix of, as I mentioned earlier, mix of each and everything that goes into a hospital will be showcased during the exhibition. Yes.
And all these people who you say will be coming are people who are seeking to expand their business horizons within Kenya and within the region and within those who will actually be participating in this process.
Yes.
Okay. You've had similar events in the past, okay?
Yes.
How then do you measure your success?
So measuring the success would be in terms of the growth of the exhibition. So when I say growth, it's not just about the revenue that the exhibition is making, but it's about the scale at which we are doing the exhibition. So for instance, up until last year, we had partnerships with just 4 different associations. This year we are we have onboarded 11 different associations. 6 will be dedicated for the laboratory and 5 will be dedicated to the medical sector. So if I have to name a few, that would be like the Rural and the Urban Private Hospitals Association of Kenya. We have the Society of Quality Healthcare in Kenya, the Kenya Healthcare Federation, Kenya Medical Association. And from the laboratory side, we are partnering with associations inside Kenya as well as outside of Kenya. So for instance, I would like to mention someone like the Association of Kenya Medical Laboratory Scientific Officers, as well as the Medical Laboratory Scientists Association of Tanzania. Then Rwanda Organization of Biomedical Laboratory Professionals. We have the Federation of African Associations of Medical Laboratory Scientists, the Uganda Medical Laboratory Technical Association. So all of these associations, the partnerships that we have, when they are joining hands, it's basically to support a particular initiative, a particular moment. And in this case, it's to develop the healthcare sector, not just in Kenya, but entire East Africa. So that's how we measure the success in terms of the number of exhibitors. Like last year, I had 140 unique medical device manufacturing companies who had participated in the exhibition for the first time. And even after participating for the first time, they made partnerships with a few of the government organizations, the the Health Ministry of Health of Kenya itself, as well as private associations, to ensure that there is a continuous supply of medical devices to cater to the healthcare sector of Kenya.
Since this is a business, how do you make your money? I can see how the manufacturers will make their money through partnerships.
Yes.
How do you make your money?
So Informa, as a company, we make money by just offering the space. It's like those particular 3 days, we are coming up with this particular platform. So even we are charging space for the exhibitors to come on board, take, let's say, a 9 square meter, which would be a smaller stand, or this can be as big as someone like a Siemens who takes like a 90 square meter booth, or like a country pavilion, which takes around 140 to 150 square meters as a stand space. So we just sell the stand space to these particular manufacturers or the exhibitors who rent it out and showcase their products. And that's it. Informa doesn't do any other profits as such.
I mean, obviously, this is commercial, so I hear you in terms of the profits and how things need to work. But then I also hear you say that there's a desire to make sure that all the healthcare equipment and facility that would be needed in a particular region is actually gotten for the promotion of healthcare. So are you saying that it goes beyond just commercial viability or commercial profit, but to make sure that the healthcare system in a certain region is robust enough to then offer the medical needs, or rather to offer the medical facilities that people need?
Exactly. That's the overall overall cause, I'll say. It's about not just promoting these technologies, but about how these technologies can be implemented in a day-to-day basis by the healthcare professionals in the hospitals. In addition to that, even the students, the medical students, they get an opportunity to witness these technologies. What is the future? Let's say IT, which is like one key role in healthcare, like the budding sector within healthcare as a whole. They can understand why it needs to be integrated into the system, or how it can be done, and if it is done, what would be the future, how it can benefit an individual. Like if I'm going to a hospital, how it will cut time to get that particular treatment done, or whether there's a need to even go to that hospital. Can it be done online through my mobile phone? So that's where the telemedicine picture comes into place.
Amogh Wadwalkar, he's the exhibition manager at Informa Markets. They are organizing Medic East Africa 2024. What dates again?
4th, 5th and 6th of September.
4th to 6th of September in Nairobi. And looking at the healthcare space in East Africa, positive shifts in East Africa's healthcare landscape. All the practitioners in this space are expected to be participating here. Exhibitors will be many people who deal in the healthcare space. And that's what we're discussing. What does this mean to actually getting faster, more reliable access to healthcare, better diagnostics equipment, better labs, better health facilities, better theaters and all. Now we're talking about healthcare, and you're saying so there are many people who play in this space, who come together, they exchange ideas, they show each other best practices, they show each other what is available out there. Where does the patient come in? Because the biggest customer in this space is the public who goes to purchase these services, the health service.
So the patient, I'll say, he will be a part of this particular experience directly in the hospital. However, if he needs to first understand what are the technologies or where the healthcare sector is heading to, he is more than welcome to, be part of the exhibition, walk in as a visitor. It's as simple as just registering himself on the show website, which is mediceastafrica.com. Once he registers, he gets the badge, he can walk into that particular exhibition, he can see the technologies that are available. And at the same time, if he wants to attend the particular conference, or be it about the laboratory or about medical advancement, then he can attend that particular conference as well. But the experience as to like on himself, as to how it will be affecting his personal life, that will be done only when he gets the treatment done in a hospital, because there won't be like demos as such as about like how a catheter would be used or how a CT scanner would be used. It's there to just show that what are the benefits out of it. So a person like you and me, we can just be there to see the technologies. But yes, the treatment will eventually be done in a hospital. It's a B2B platform wherein like only these buyers and the sellers who actually have know the technical know-how or understand why it needs to be done, it will be much more beneficial for those healthcare professionals.
Do hospitals also exhibit? Like, a hospital here that would like to let the people know that, you can get good quality healthcare services in this country or in the region. Maybe a hospital in Tanzania just comes to say, we offer this range of services. And if you're a doctor and we're looking to poach, if you're a lab technician, we're also looking to poach. Or if you're somebody and you're walking around here, you can also refer your patients to our facility.
Yes, that is one of the cases. Like I'll go back to the history. Like this particular edition, it's the 9th edition that we would be doing. 8 years, the show has been going on in Kenya for the last 8 years. So earlier there used to be hospitals participating in the exhibition. So like someone like an Apollo group of hospitals, they would come on board, tell them that, okay, what are the services that they can offer, be under the medical tourism category. So that is one of the mottos wherein like they want to promote the hospital services. But in addition to that, of course, it's kind of a networking platform wherein like the healthcare professionals, they are interacting with other healthcare facilities. So as you mentioned earlier, it becomes like not just a networking and like a networking platform or like a platform to learn more about the new technologies, but it also to look out for their personal development in terms of moving to or switching jobs.
You know, the idea of an exhibition such as the one you mentioned, just hearing it strikes me as a place which abounds in very many opportunities. Now, do you have exhibitors who will be coming, who will be displaying the sort of technology that a country like ours, whose population is predominantly in the rural areas, the sort of health care appliances that would benefit some of these specific areas? Do you have exhibitors? Because new technology is good, but is it user specific? Is it something that will actually robustly be accommodated within a setting where a very large sector of our population is, like say the rural areas?
Yes, in fact, the exhibition as such, even though we have the bellwethers like someone like a Siemens or an LG or Abbott, Roche, Kiagen and all, they are participating in the exhibition.
Yes.
But what they do is like they also do partnerships with the local partners over here, wherein like they work with them, they understand the market better, because when you have a regional partnership in place, they also promote the homegrown technologies, I can say, which can be used in a day-to-day activity of the running of the hospital. Yeah. So something that might work for let's say Middle East as a region might not work for Africa as a region. So when you are doing that partnership with a local community or a local partner, you understand the market better and you come up with a customized solution for that market.
You know, the reason why I asked that question is there is an area of innovation that we hear and is talked about. It's called telemedicine.
Yes.
Now, rural areas are often characterized by remoteness. There's a place, it's far away, the normal services that you would easily get in an urban setting like this is not easy. Now, in that specific field of telemedicine, can you say how many exhibitors are going to come in to sort of like promote their wares into this particular service area?
Yes, of course. So like if I have to again tell about telemedicine as such, then it is part of IT in healthcare. Like IT in healthcare is vast. There are digital technologies, there is IT in healthcare, there are your other day-to-day activities like HRM solutions and all. So telemedicine, if I have to answer your question, we are looking at around 7 specific companies who will be talking about telemedicine as their forte. So there are these exhibitors who would be only promoting telemedicine solutions. In addition to that, there are the other categories, right from IT in healthcare that can be offering the software as a solution, or if not the software, then the HIMS services. So there are multiple IT-related exhibitors who will be participating in the show as well.
You mentioned this for the 8th year running in Kenya. Have you seen that trends of purchases for medical facility have changed or morphed over time into something different in terms of what they purchase?
Yes, so earlier, if from my personal experience, I've been doing it since 2016. So I'll say that earlier, the facilities used to opt for a solution which is cost effective. And now the trend has slightly shifted. They're focusing more on increasing their capex rather than opex, because they're like, if you're going for a qualitative products, let's spend bigger because that will give an ROI in the longer run. So that's where these health facilities are now going for products which are quality based rather than cost based.
Okay. Do you ever know, or do you? Because I would imagine that. So if there's a facility that has a need, pick something, one kind of equipment that you sell. What would that be? What would that be? One machine, something.
A CT scanner.
CT scanner.
Yeah.
Would you then go beyond that and say, and because kind of like monitoring and evaluation thereafter, the kinds of people or the numbers of people then, and how this medical facility then has been able to improve in terms of its output, in terms of its care, based on the equipment that you then have been able. Does that ever come into your research post-purchase, post-selling?
So, as such, if that would be a question which my exhibitors would be in a better position to answer, because if I, as an organizer, if I have to tell you, as I mentioned earlier, the role is just to bring in these manufacturers who can showcase their technologies to the buyers. So if the hospital is looking at buying a CT scanner, they will understand first whether it's whether there's a requirement of having a refurbished one or a brand new one.
Okay.
If a brand new one, then what is the cost implication, and whether I can be putting that in the center of the city, in the city center, or whether a refurbished one can be used for a healthcare facility which is on the outskirts of the city. So depending on their model or their operational costs, they take a final call.
Why don't people purchase? What are the reasons why people don't purchase immediately or take them longer to purchase?
It's not about taking a decision of like going for it right now. Although there are contracts signed on site, but this particular happens when the procurement team is already on board from a particular health facility. Many a times it's the hospital CEO or the CMD himself who takes a call. But for the smaller run healthcare facilities, it's a wider team who decide after understanding the costs, the budgets that they hold, as well as the technologies and the servicing of that particular technology. Because it's not just like one-time buying decision. After buying, it needs to be serviced. It needs to be ensured that the product is that in the life cycle as well.
So I imagine that you curate conversations around the expo. I mean, it's 3 days.
Yes.
It's not just people walking in and walking around, and so there'll be various curated conversations. What kind of conversations do you have? Do you have like a deal room where if people want to have a one-on-one conversation, they do it there? Do you organize such deals in advance? Maybe putting together exhibitor A versus attendee B to have a moment?
Yes, so usually what we do is like Informa usually has this concept of called as a hosted buyer, wherein like we fly in people, the C-level executives from different hospitals, and not just from Kenya, but the wider Eastern African market to attend the exhibition. And once they are here, the best place for them to interact will be the exhibitor's stand, because they get to see the product in person. But in addition to that, let's say they want to have a closed conversation, a closed door conversation, then we have lounge area wherein they can sit down. And that particular lounge area is accessible to each and every visitor who is coming down. So he can just walk into an exhibitor, tell them that, okay, I represent XYZ healthcare facility and I'm interested in procuring disposables for the healthcare facility. So where can we have a conversation if the exhibition stand is too occupied? So that time they can make use of the lounge area. If not that, again, during the conference itself, once the conferences also have some networking breaks, so that can be over a cup of coffee during the refreshments break or during the luncheon network luncheon area as well. So there are these multiple places spread across the venue on the exhibition floor space as well as the conference floor space, where people can grab a coffee and like interact with them.
And about knowledge transfer and just best practice sharing of knowledge and experiences. Do you have panel discussions, keynote speeches where renowned industry players come in and they give their experiences and keynotes?
Yes, so these are conferences which I specifically mentioned, the 6 separate conferences, 3 on lab and 3 on the non-lab topics. The format is such that it includes panel discussions as well as debates, and these debates happen between the experts from around East Africa with the success stories that have taken place in their healthcare facility and how it can be replicated in the current situation to overcome their challenges.
Okay. Do you have any case study where you can say, because of the conversations that took place at one of our Medic Expos, this has changed in that market?
Maybe
there's a greater adoption of new technologies, or it even went to influence policy.
I'll say it didn't go to the extent of influencing of changing a policy, but it went to an extent wherein during the conferences, again, it's an open session. You are free to ask whatever questions you are. So last year when we had these sessions going on, there were I forgot the name of that particular healthcare facility, but the gentleman over there, he directly asked the points as to it's good to know that the Kenyan government wants to fulfill these objectives as per the UN objectives by 2030. But what about the infrastructure to achieve these particular objectives? And because of which for 24 earlier this year, I was aware that a policy had been implemented wherein the infrastructure for the spend on the infrastructure will be has been increased.
If I look at what you just said and listen to you carefully, the numbers of exhibitors have been increasing over time.
Yes.
Now, for them to increase, it means that the outreach worked. More people heard of what you're doing and more people wanted to participate. And all these entities who are participating are business entities.
Yes.
So it means the success factor, I'm actually responding to what I asked. For people to increase in number in terms of their wanting to show their wares, it means they have understood that that particular setup is of benefit to them. Now, they perhaps, as you correctly put it, may be the best place to tell us how they have benefited from the exhibition.
Yeah,
but it would also help you to tell us, because
you're the neutral.
Yes,
exactly. You're the one who's collecting all the feedback from all your exhibitors.
So I'll say I'll give one example over here. So there is this exhibitor who is into laboratory space.
Yes.
Okay. I'm talking about Curated as a company. Mm-hmm. So they have been participating through one of their partners over here.
Yes.
But this year they decided to participate in the exhibition, not just to showcase the solutions, but also talk about how the technology is currently helping them in a wider scale. So they have gone beyond that aspect and also hosting a networking dinner on day 2 or day 3 with few of the key healthcare professionals who can visit their particular site and understand how it can be beneficial in the longer run. So initially it was just okay, we need to be there for branding, but now it's more about, in addition to branding, it's also about promoting the services and developing the sector as a whole by the use of an implementation of IT in it.
Is the Ministry of Health participating in this?
Yes, the show is supported by the Ministry of Health of Kenya.
How?
So it's under the show is run under the patronage of the MOH of Kenya.
Okay. So senior Ministry of Health officials will be in attendance here?
Yes.
And they may even sit in some of the panel discussions?
Yes.
Okay. Now, do they take the feedback from the players in this sector? For example, the cost of importing the equipment and setting it up in the country, which then also goes ahead to affect the costs of delivering healthcare in the country.
Yes, that's a place wherein it's a open, not like an open discussion, but it's the feedback which the manufacturers are giving that, okay, we want to be part of it. And that's where the government is considering subsidies or coming up with zones that can help these OEMs to set up their offices here in Kenya. So the goods can be produced locally and at the same time supplied on a wider scale to Kenya as well as the Eastern African market. So they are coming up with opportunities or coming up kind of a space that will encourage more and more of these foreign investments to have a local presence in Kenya itself.
Okay. And how far does that go then beyond this? Because all these, they're coming and they're saying, we'd like to set up base in Kenya, would like to access this market better, would like to bring in our equipment, our services at a more affordable cost, so that then that translates to a benefit to the public. What does the government say in return? We'll take that under advisement.
Yes, so that's what I mentioned earlier. So the government is taking initiatives or like putting it up to, as you mentioned earlier, like coming up with policies so that they can encourage all of these OEMs to have a local presence in the near future. They are already doing that, but right now it's just in the initiation stage. So as things progress, as things go forward, you will be seeing more and more companies coming down to Kenya and having the businesses set up over here.
So at the moment, the majority of those who purchase, are they private facilities?
I'll say it's a mix of private as well as the government facilities.
Okay.
Yeah.
So some of the issues, and of course, they're broad health issues when you look at the disease burden, for example, because a lot of this it goes towards the treatment as opposed to prevention of certain diseases, whereby a CT scan may be able to look at something, but then you're going to look at things like dialysis machines, you're going to look at chemotherapy and things like that, right, for treatment?
Yes.
And a lot of these spread across the country. So even as you look at the needs, sometimes, we've got queues. If we look at some of the national hospital queues for certain treatment, that would then be sorted out if you had more equipment and more individuals who would be able to man them. So is your activity need-based in terms of then sorting out these particular issues, having this data and information? I would imagine that having the data and the information would then fuel how you curate for supply.
Yes, so I'll say that there's still there's this concept of bridging the gap in healthcare workforce, because Medic East Africa, it acknowledges the shortage of healthcare professionals in East Africa, and that is highlighted in the Healthcare Outlook of 2024 itself. So the event aims to be a catalyst for change, like panels and discussions will explore strategies to address this shortage, potentially including and attracting healthcare professionals back to the region.
Do you have, as exhibitors, any people in the health insurance sector?
Not as of now, but we are in conversation with them. So if not this year, then we would be having them on board for the 2025 show.
And those who are talking to you, why are they showing an interest? What is it that has sparked this interest that they have?
Because these particular insurance providers, I'll say, they prefer to work with the medical facilities, like a hospital, wherein if someone like you and I, if we are walking into a hospital, then I need not be worried about the bill that I need to, whether there needs to be any deposit before I even start with my treatment. Because if the insurance is participating with the facility, then all they have to do is, under the Universal Health Coverage Program, they just have to mention the particular ID number, and then it's taken care by the health facility with the insurance provider directly.
It's interesting you should say that, because as we're talking about the participation of insurance in the health sector, I'm reminded of the digital age and how it caught many people who had been alive and well in the analog age completely unawares, and how very many businesses that were previously very big in that era suddenly collapsed because they hadn't caught up. Why do I say what I'm saying? Everything that we've been talking about with regards to the exhibition and what it stands for, at the focus are the individuals who will consume those products. Now, health products presuppose that you will not always be healthy. Or if you're healthy, they seek to ensure that you continue being healthy.
True.
Now, the one thing that then brings these things together and guarantees that it happens smoothly, if you're well, you stay well. If you're not well, something is taken care of so that you get back to health. It's the insurance factor.
That's true.
It appears that they're coming late into this game, because I would have assumed they would have understood this a lot quicker than they're understanding it.
Well, the way I look at it, it's rather late than never, because 8 years back, they never even considered you, to be a part of it. And now they're things are changing. I'll say it like that. For that matter, again, the trend has been wherein it's people are preferring something, as you mentioned, healthy product, rather than just being reliant on the medicines and all.
Yes.
So right now the concept is nutraceuticals, which is an upcoming or a booming concept, because we have 3 other exhibitors who are purely into nutraceuticals and who wish to market that. And there are, again, 2 of them, they are based locally here in Kenya. So they wish to develop that particular market, because eventually it's instead of allopathy, something naturally which is consumed by a person is much more appreciated than getting some other chemicals in the body.
How does the exhibition have any consideration for medical students or students in that space? Because I'm thinking that they would like to come in there and gain a lot of knowledge, also see the kind of equipment, the kind of expertise that they are training to get into, and how does it cater for them?
So, as I mentioned earlier, when I'm talking about healthcare professionals, I'm talking about the healthcare fraternity over here. Even though the person, even if it's not like a doctor, even these medical students, they can register themselves to attend the show as a visitor by just logging onto the show website. And then once they have access to the exhibition, they are free to select which conference they would like to attend as per their interest, topic of their interest. So someone who would like to specialize into a laboratory part, it can be as critical like a clinical microbiology or parasitology kind of a conference, which would be of his interest. Similarly, if someone who's from the financing part of it, he would be interested in understanding the healthcare financing conference and the policies which are framed to develop that particular concept as a whole. So it's for the medical student as per their interest. They are open to come down and attend a particular conference, or just be present on site, see the technologies, walk on the show floor, and understand what's the future of healthcare.
Is it free of charge for the medics?
Yes, it is absolutely free of cost for all the healthcare professionals.
Okay. So when again is this conference, and where is it taking place?
It will be taking place from the 4th to 6th of September here in Nairobi. The venue would be KICC, Kenyatta International Convention Center. So yeah, centrally located. And as I mentioned earlier, like for any queries for all of these healthcare professionals, they can just simply log on to the show website, which is mediceastafrica.com, and filter through the information as per their requirement.
Okay. And they're free to come and attend and sit through the conference, sit through the various conversations that are taking place, engage one-on-one with the exhibitors who will be there, and gain knowledge as well. The government will also be present.
Yes.
County governments, you've talked about the Ministry of Health, that's national government.
Yeah.
Health is devolved, so you'd like to see county governments also coming.
So yes, we are in talks with them, but as per the protocol, we aren't allowed to disclose the name before the things are documented in black and white. So yes, we are in conversation with them, but officially for now, if I have to tell you, then yes, the Ministry of Health of Kenya has already supported the exhibition. They have been on board since last year.
Okay. Amogh, thank you very much for joining us, and wish you all the best. So the conference is taking place, it's called Medic East Africa 2024, between the 4th and the 6th of September at the KICC. You can visit the website, which is mediceastafrica.com. Sift through the information, register there as well. And this is if you would like to attend. If you would like to exhibit,
then they can again reach out to me either through the website or through the email, which is mea@informa.com, or just again go to the show website and download, click on the book a form, and then I will be getting their details.
you're the one who will deal with it.
Yes.
Amogh Wadwalkar is the exhibition manager. He works for Informa Markets.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.